It's always hard to know like what to talk about and what not to talk about. But now that so many people have talked about this, I feel like it's very fair game, and I feel like my perspective might be interesting and valuable to the conversation. So even though normally I like to focus on the games, the systems, the events, the fun, we're going to talk about the behind the curtain stuff today, which is a different look, and it's something that people, YouTubers like me are able to do because we're not like beholden to a network or a whoever that's like, you can't talk about that. We can talk about whatever the heck we want. So today we're talking about what the heck is happening to Nintendo YouTubers? Why are they struggling? And what the heck is the cause of this? And will it change? Because a number of prominent Nintendo YouTubers lately have expressed major concern over how 2024 is going. And I'm not talking about the direct or the releases or what's coming to Switch or what's already came to Switch or what's happening, but I'm talking about the business side of it for YouTubers. Nintendo, they're doing great. Nintendo YouTubers, not so much in 2024. We've got multiple instances of major Nintendo channels being like, dude, 2024 ain't it. And I feel like I know exactly the reason why, but I want to give my perspective and hear your perspective. And I've been watching other people's videos on this subject, and I think it's pretty interesting. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Obviously, here at SwitchForce, we're a Nintendo channel, and that has brought many positives throughout the years. SwitchForce started at a time after Nintendo was kind of rude. Nintendo had this policy back in the Wii U era where they were like, we don't want you making videos, you scrubs, and it stunk. It was very hard to monetize Nintendo content, and unless you had the right network, the right connections, the right people, you weren't able to do it. But since the Switch, they've been pretty friendly. I mean, there's been ups and downs. I used to work directly with Nintendo, then they said, be gone with you, because I got my OLED early. Oops, I don't know. It blamed the store, not me. They didn't like that. Anyhow, beat 'em ups, very prominent, big channel. Really great video content, I think. He expressed on his podcast how it's been tough in 2024. And Game Explained, one of the most well-known, long-standing Nintendo channels or Nintendo-focused channels, the head of the channel, Andre Segers, wrote this sad note on Twitter where he had to say, like, I'd let go of my employees because I can't afford it anymore. And he wasn't apparently taking money for 2 years for himself, just trying to invest it back into the business, and it still is not working. And Nintendo Prime, another prime Nintendo YouTuber, talked about the same thing. And now let's add SwitchForce to the table of goobers. 2024 has been really rough. I've been doing YouTube for 14 years. I've been through ups and downs. There have been a lot of great ups. There have been some low downs, and riding the roller coaster is part of the journey. I think it's part of any self-employed or entrepreneurial journey, but it's definitely part of the YouTube journey that there are going to be ups and downs, and only the brave and only the lucky will weather the storm. Like, I want to make that very clear that there is a substantial part of this that is luck. And I also want to make clear that beat 'em ups, Game Explain, and Nintendo Prime, it stinks that they're struggling with this as well. No matter what you think about their content, no matter if you think it's because they're crappy people or they're clickbaiters, their videos stink. First of all, I don't agree with any of that. Second of all, I think that it sucks that their stuff is struggling. And just like you'd want empathy for you, I think it's unfortunate. This is a job for many people, and despite the look of it being like this super fun gig, this thing that you just do like because you love video games, it's a job. And like any job, there are struggles, there are trials, there are things you have to deal with on a mental front and things you have to deal with on a physical front, and then there's the uncertainty which comes with just about any self-employed type adventure. And there's a ton of uncertainty with YouTube, especially in the Nintendo space. I would say that the gaming YouTube sphere as a whole has changed a ton over the years, but I don't want to give a history on gaming on YouTube. Look that up a different day. Nintendo in particular is in a spot because of what Nintendo did earlier this year, and I think it's solely because of that, and I don't think there's really any other reason, and that's why I'm not panicking. That's why I'm not feeling, well, like I should be worried, I guess, but I'm not feeling worried because views are down, interest is down. And, I think RGT made some great points. He made a video on this subject saying like, the Switch sales are slowing down. People are kind of getting bored of the Switch. The Switch used to be the cool thing. Maybe it's not the cool thing anymore. I think all of that is true, but I think there's something even bigger. And a lot of the pushback on this kind of conversation is like, dude, don't throw all your eggs in one basket. That's the mistake. But YouTube specifically for years has punished channels that do a wide variety. The best like algorithmic advice you can get is to zero in on a topic and make content for that topic, because then YouTube knows how to do it, what to do with it, and your audience knows what to do with it. That's why I don't like, oh, just make stuff for other games, do stuff for other systems. You hurt yourself, Nintendo Prime beat 'em ups. Why don't you do other stuff? It may have been worse. It may have been worse, and it is very hard once you're established to just switch. If all of a sudden I started playing Xbox games, it would probably not go over so great. It might take me a year, 2 years, 3 years to really establish a position where it's like, hey, now SwitchForce has Xbox content, but I'm in a special spot, because when you think of SwitchForce, do you think of Xbox? I don't think you do. I think you think of the Nintendo Switch. Thank goodness the Switch has been as successful as it is, but we're now at the tail end of that success, and the problem arises because it has been going on too long, but it's really all about the Switch 2. It's really all about the Switch 2, and we've actually, as Nintendo YouTubers, been kind of snubbed twice now. It may seem like once, but it's actually twice. And yeah, interest has died off. There's not a big, huge game right now. Tears of the Kingdom was sort of the last big thing, and either you were on that train or you weren't. Animal Crossing was like a hallelujah moment for many channels, and then that ended far sooner than I think we expected. But there's ups and downs with the game releases. The system itself, though, could have been painting a totally different picture had the Switch Pro launched a few years back. I remember sitting there and reading all the hype, all the rumors, all the leaks about a Nintendo Switch Pro dropping, and instead in 2021 they were like, Switch OLED. Now, Switch OLED is great. I love the OLED. I think it's a better upgrade than people give it credit for. I really enjoy it. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it, all that. But it's no Switch Pro. It's no second system. It's not giving it a new set of legs in the third-party space, and it's not giving it a new set of legs from an audience. Look, from a YouTube perspective, a new system is brilliant because it's like, boom, what does this system look like? What does the system feel like? How does the system work? Are there any sort of nuances or secrets or hidden features? Or how do people download this? How do people do that? What's the first update going to look like? How's Nintendo going to handle it? There's so much around it. It's literally like a beehive. Okay, a new system launch is like dropping a beehive, all the bees come out, and the bees can either be video ideas or viewers or both, because there's going to be tons of them. I really think that if Nintendo had either A, dropped the Switch Pro, or B, launched the Switch 2 like they intended to do this year, we would be fine. There would be a ton of interest because there'd be something new and very exciting, and something that is absolutely on the radar of gamers worldwide. I don't think it's that people are bored of Nintendo. I don't think it's people are bored of games. I think it's people are bored of Nintendo Switch and the games that are currently coming out. Believe you me, if there was a Smash Bros, a Mario Kart, and Animal Crossing, it'd be pretty fine. But the real deal is the generational transition. And this is Nintendo's real long generation. And there's good to that and bad. The good has been, okay, we got to cycle through so many awesome games. The bad is that oomph you get every generational turnover does not happen. And look, I've been here through a lot of generational turnovers. I started my channel on the Xbox 360 back in 2010. So I was there for the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation, all those systems all generated a new audience and a resurgence of interest from the already existing audience. There's only so much creativity you can put in there. There's only so much you can do with these Nintendo Switch games if the viewership just isn't there. Me playing a new cool Switch game is only going to do so much, no matter what I do. Even if I cover myself in honey and light myself on fire and play the game on my roof, maybe that does good for one video, but people aren't going to be that interested. There are big games throughout the years. There are tentpole pieces that you sort of anchor your channel to and that you rely on as these building blocks, right? Or maybe these anchor points. For me, okay, the Switch comes out, things are awesome, things are great, and then it's like, okay, Mario Kart comes out, that's a pretty good game. And then Breath of the Wild comes out, okay, that's an anchor point, obviously. Mario Odyssey comes out, another anchor point. Smash Bros. Ultimate comes out, an anchor point. There's titles that do well on YouTube that don't do well in sales, and there's titles that sell incredibly well and don't do well on YouTube. And then there's Animal Crossing New Horizons, which was literally the heavens opened up, and it was just a perfect kismet of something that I really enjoyed, something that I could cover. There was a pandemic, and it just worked out perfectly. There have been ebbs and flows, and if I'm brutally honest with you, my channel was at an extreme low point before Animal Crossing, where I was to the point like I didn't know if I could keep on keeping on, and I had to will myself to say, you know what, I'm going to go down fighting if I'm going to go down. And that fighting led me to skip something I was supposed to do on the launch week of Animal Crossing to give it a shot, and then voila, Animal Crossing was huge, channel resurged, we're in a good spot. Now, we're back down at a low point. I'll admit that. That's kind of where we're at. But I'm very grateful and very lucky that I do have a core audience. This Good Morning Mario audience that's been there for 792 episodes is very special to me and very wonderful, because that show has allowed me to have consistent, continual content that not only is good for my business, but is also good for other people watching. And by that I mean the sponsors. And I do want to talk about this a little bit, because I know some people have been annoyed with me taking more sponsors this year than others. But guys, the bloody truth of it is, without those sponsors, this channel does not get videos anywhere near as often, and I've got to go find something else to do. That's the fact. And that might be the fact for a lot of channels, and I'm lucky in the space that I've worked with so many people. I have a lot of connections. I've established like a really good reputation as being a quick, good worker, somebody who's trustworthy, someone who's professional, and someone who does good content. And so I'm really lucky to have those, because without those, there's no content, there's no channel. It can't continue. You can't do something that's either making you next to nothing or losing you money. So as annoying as it might be for you to sometimes see a sponsorship and there's a million videos you can click off of and click on, know that for me, that is like keeping the lights on and keeping things running, and super important. And that's sometimes why like delays bug me so much, because there's like jobs and livelihood at stake. You might think like, oh, it's just YouTube, but like that's like saying, oh, it's just a financial office, it's just a dentistry, it's just a grocery store, it's just a restaurant, it's just a home mortgage realty cell phone business. Like, you can boil down anyone's job to something very mundane and menial and unimportant, but at the end of the day, it's that person's job, it's that person's livelihood, they rely on it, they trust on it, and they're like really keeping their fingers crossed that it works out. And so delays are frustrating, because delays lead to things like Game Explained having to let go of their people. There are real lives and real stakes and real people and maybe families and homes and bills involved. And I know maybe like a delay saves a game, and so then maybe it saves jobs on the dev side. So maybe it's like a one-to-one trade-off. I don't know. But all I can speak from is my position, which is like, these delays hurt, they suck. And I know for a fact if the Switch 2 had come out this year, not one of these people, Beat 'em Ups, Nintendo Prime, Game Explained, or myself, would be making any sort of note about what we're making a note about. And that is also why I hang in there, because I know as long as I can keep the lifeline there, right? As long as I can hang on to the mountain till the Switch 2 comes out, there is going to be a resurgence of interest and intrigue and mystery and tons of video content. No matter what, like, it will happen once that Switch 2 comes out. Nintendo, please put it out. That's what I have to say to you. I know you're not watching because you hate me because I got a Switch OLED early, which I feel is very unfair, because we did a lot of good work together and I helped you out literally every day of my life making Nintendo content. But forget about all that. We can, never work with them again, I guess. Seems silly, right? They didn't send it to me and I broke embargo. They just literally did not like that I got one early, even though I hadn't agreed to any embargo or anything with them. Didn't ask them for one, nothing. People are selling the Switch OLEDs early. It's not even a new system. It didn't even do anything new. It just had a nice screen. Anyhow, it's not all bad. And I'm lucky enough to be able to have, I think, that peace of mind because I've done this for so long and because I've seen those ups and downs and because I did start from the very bottom with my Ghost Robo channel and I built it up very huge and then I saw it fall. And then I built up SwitchForce very huge at the start and then I saw it fall. And so I've been through this up and down thing like 3 times. Hi, kitty. Really, the truth is I have a cat now, and so that makes everything so much better. Beautiful Bowser, what a baby boy. He loves to sit on my shoulder. He's kind of a biter. He's a big hunter. He's a Balinese cat, and he's beautiful and wonderful. And his food is like 40 cents a day, so don't worry. He's not that expensive. But he's worth it, and he would be even if his food was $4 a day. I love this little guy, right? Oh, yeah, little love bite right there on the cheek. And he loves to nuzzle the ear. Anyhow, this guy sits here for almost all my videos. He's had to hear me for hundreds of hours, so I think it's fine if he climbs my arms for this one. I don't have an answer right now for how to make people's channels boom, how to make people's channels get better, and perhaps the channels won't boom. There's always a chance that this drop is your last drop, and you won't get to ride the roller coaster back up the hill. I don't think that's the case for SwitchForce. I hope it's not the case for Game Explain, Beat 'em Ups, or Nintendo Prime. But I think one of the most important things is to keep a positive spirit and keep a hopeful attitude, because you never know when the next big thing will strike. And we are right around the corner from something huge. It just got delayed, and that's unfortunate. It's frustrating. It's literally costing people jobs, opportunities, bills, all sorts of issues. You can't touch the mic. This is not for kiddies. Okay? Anywhere but the mic. Okay. Just gonna park himself right here over the mic. Okay. Sorry for the slightly awkward cut. I wanted to add this in after I made the video. Had time to sit and think about, did I cover everything I wanted to cover? I just want to say I don't think any of these channels are doing anything wrong. The assumption is, if a channel is not doing great or if views are declining, they screwed up somewhere, they did something wrong. But I know very well from YouTube over the years, you can do everything right and get nowhere. You can do everything awesome and fail. So I don't think anybody's doing anything wrong. I don't think any of the channels we've discussed are doing anything wrong. I think it's very circumstantial, and that's where sort of that luck part that I talked about at the top comes in. There's a bit of this that is somebody is going to hit it big with the next big game, and we don't know who it's going to be. And it might be an already established channel, it might be a small channel, and then there's going to be varying degrees of who else hits it. Do you hitch your wagon to this game, and are you dragged along, or do you throw out the line and it's it didn't hook? A lot of that is luck. A lot of that is algorithmic luck. A lot of that is timing luck. A lot of that is was the one thumbnail you made that was your shot at establishing a presence with this game something that people were interested in or not? And so I don't think it's how did people screw up to get in this place? I really feel it's more YouTubers in the gaming space, that's all I'll speak from because that's all I know, are very affected by the circumstances of the industry. As silly as that might sound, it's all about what can you piggyback off of? What games, what consoles, what events, what releases, what Nintendo Directs, what E3s, what's going on, what big releases. If that's not there, there's not much. It's very rare, and there are some channels that do it especially well, but it's very rare that someone can be anything I make a video on, even if it's let's make a video about the iPhone Lightning to HDMI adapter, or they make a video about, let's look through my SNES collection and reminisce. Very, very, very top 0.0001% of gaming YouTubers can do that and guarantee that they're going to get consistent, awesome views. Everybody else is crap. I hope the industry pops something out, because if not, without that content, it's very hard to just generate content on your own. Then all of a sudden you're a vlogger, and that industry I think is even more chaotic, convoluted, and kind of crazy, and something I don't want to be a part of really, since it's transitioned, and we could do a whole other video. But you need that from the industry. It's like a relationship, right? Hey, we'll make the cool videos, you give us the cool games so we can make the cool videos on the cool games, get it? And then make more games so we can make more cool videos, get it? Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. And in Nintendo's case, you don't have that multi-platform stuff. You don't have the big franchises that do generate a lot of interest in a lot of other places. The GTA, you don't really have. Well, we have old GTA, nobody cares. It ran terribly at the launch, so it was horrible. It improved, but nobody cared. Assassin's Creed, only the old ones. Far Cry, nothing's been there. Madden, not there. It's all of these major tentpole franchises, Call of Duty, etc. The big, multiplayer PC games that generate a lot of interest. There's tons of indies on Switch, but none of the ones that really become viral on Steam. It's tough. You're very reliant on what else is out there. For 99% of the YouTubers, 99.9, only a very small few can just will an idea into existence and have it for sure do really well. Majority are not in that position, and so I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I think it's just these channels all clearly know how to be successful because they've been successful before. So then it becomes very much like Nintendo. It's Nintendo's fault. That's about it, I guess. We can wrap up. He's saying it's time to go. I'm going to be here. I just know that. I know that SwitchForce is going to be around for a long time. I know we're going to see the Switch 2 and the Switch 2 OLED and the Switch 2 Vubaboo 0.5. I just know it. I have the will and the determination to make it happen, and whatever needs to happen, I will do. If I need to change things up, I'll change things up, and part of it is being malleable, flexible, and ready to change, innovate, diversify. And even if things seem down, even if what you've been doing is not working, there's always an opportunity to try again. You know, Good Morning Mario was such a huge shift for my channel. Animal Crossing was such a huge shift for my channel. Who knows what the huge shift will be? Maybe I'll start live streaming regularly and that'll be a shift. Maybe I'll find a new way to review games and that'll be a shift. Maybe it'll just be the Switch 2. But things are in a weird spot. And I guess like my piece of advice for you or my request would be to try and be a little nicer to these Nintendo people right now. Whatever they're doing with their channels, it's to try and survive and try to keep on keeping on. It's harder than it looks. It's not just playing the video games and pressing record and money. Like, that's not how it goes. Things have always been tricky. Navigating the waters of YouTube algorithms, ad revenue, all that stuff is very difficult. It was never simple, but it was definitely easier. It's in a place right now where there's kind of like a very top chunk and then everybody else. And I don't think outside of maybe beat 'em ups, these channels that we're talking about today are in that top chunk. And sounds like beat 'em ups maybe isn't either, given the struggles he's describing. So everybody could use a little empathy. Everybody could use a little kindness. Give those guys a thumbs up. Let them know that you appreciate the work they're doing. Let them know that they're doing a good job. Nintendo Prime and Game Explain, like that they're keeping on. Beat 'em ups, of course. Even RGT. Give RGT some love. Me and him have had some little bickering on Twitter. Nothing bad, obviously, but I think even he, you know, obviously works his butt off making good content and trying to make videos, and that takes something. Like, at the end of the day, no matter what the videos are, no matter how they turn out, like, it takes something to do this by yourself, to do it as a one-man show, to do it for years, and to live with the uncertainty of each and every video is your paycheck, but you have no idea what it's going to be until it is. Kind of scary. Kind of freaky. Sometimes glorious and exciting and awesome, and you get a game early and it seems like you're on top of the world, and sometimes terrifying because Nintendo doesn't release any big games and their system has been delayed and it's been 8 years and you don't have a new system and you're like, when is it going to come out? It's not even announced, and all they promised you is that they're going to give you the release date of the system during this fiscal year, not even give you the system. But I think they will. So it's not going to be all doom and gloom. It's going to be fine. SwitchForce will persist, and thank goodness it's SwitchForce because the next system is going to be some sort of Switch. Whew, lucked out there. But even if we didn't, I would keep going. One thing I know about myself is I don't worry about it. Maybe a little, but not a lot. And I just have faith that, like, things will be good, things will continue, things will persist. All sorts of ups and downs in life, right? And all you can do is keep on keeping on, being positive, moving forward, hoping for the best, and giving yourself the best chance to have that best happen. It's not going to happen by sitting there. Setting yourself up for success, reaching out to people that you have in your life, maybe for some help, maybe for some ideas, maybe for some inspiration, and then putting yourself in a position to say, you know what? I am going to go down fighting. That's what I did years back, and that's what led me to the greatest boom the channel has ever had. Gonna employ the same mental practice now. We're fighting. And a lot of Nintendo YouTubers seem to be in the same spot. It's a tough one. I have empathy, but I think we'll all get through. Nintendo better not save that system for 2026, though. That's all I have to say. 2025, here we go, Nintendo Switch 2. In the meantime, I hope that's an interesting insight into what it's like to be a Nintendo YouTuber and why diversifying is not super easy, why it's not like just go do something else, and why maybe this is harder than it looks. But let me know what you think. Hopefully all these channels can make it to Switch 2. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay pals out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.